Audi's renaissance has come to an end, but there is hope for the future. So Audi is they're in some trouble right now. They're not selling as many cars as they want to, and I think I know why. I'm gonna show you the lineup of the good, which I call the good old days, and the current lineup that they have right now, and let you know why I think the reason is why Audi sales and revenues, profits, everything is down at the moment. It's pretty. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see what the problem is here. So we're gonna have a look at all these cars and compare the two, both when it comes to the engineering and also when it comes to the design and what's going on with Audi here. But before we do that, let's have a look at this Car Scoop article because this says a lot of what's going on with Audi right now. I'm going to link this down in the description. So Audi is struggling with declining sales and profits, impacting its overall market performance. Blames a challenging market and competitive conditions. Deeper issues stem from an aging lineup. They are replacing a lot of their old models right now. The A8, I don't know how long that's been around. Not sure if they're actually going to make a new A8 or if it's going to be an EV as well. I don't know. So new models are on the horizon, although the problems won't be fixed overnight. Audi is at a crossroads right now, and sales are down, and EVs are struggling. If that wasn't bad enough, they've been saddled with an aging and somewhat uninspired lineup. I can totally agree with that. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean in a minute here. Through the first 9 months of the year, dealers were only able to move 139,665 vehicles in the United States, which is down almost 17% from last year. And Chinese sales are down 8.5%. European sales are also down almost 10%. So it's not looking good right now for Audi. Revenues and profits have also dropped. In the third quarter alone, their operation profits plummeted 91% to $114 million, due in part to reconstructing effort at their Brussels plant. So this facility builds the Q8 e-tron family, which Audi wanted to axe due to declining sales. I want to say so much right now, but I'm gonna wait until we jump into Photoshop to let you know my thoughts about this. The answer seems pretty obvious, as Audi focused too much on new EVs and not enough on mainstream products. That is definitely one of the big problems for Audi that they've been doing. The bread and butter models are gone and outdated. The Q7 is a perfect example of this, as a crossover is nearly a decade old and two facelifts can't hide that fact. The Lexus TX is now eating the Q7's lunch, and even a stop sale order, which meant Lexus sold 0 TXs for the first entire month of September. Even that hasn't halted the Lexus domination over Audi. So Audi needs to step it up here. The A8 looks like a dinosaur compared to newer rivals from BMW and Mercedes. This helps to explain why the company has only sold 1,232 units through September, even though I still really like the A8. And every single generation of the S8 is just a proper looking German sedan. Even though the tech might be a little old, I'm still a huge fan of these cars. So they only sold 1,232 A8s throughout September, which is nearly as many S-classes as Mercedes sold in the third quarter alone. Things are starting to get better, as Audi recently introduced the redesigned A5 and also the Q5, which I made videos on here on the channel, along with their S-Performance siblings. This is on top of the new A6 and the Q6 e-trons. They'll be joined by a new A7 early next year, while redesigned versions of the Q3 and Q7 are also in the works. Hopefully, not every single one of these will have the name e-tron attached to them. That's all I'm going to say. It needs a strategy to reignite its identity and reclaim its edge. That is definitely something that Audi needs to work on here. So let's jump into Photoshop here and let's have a look at this. What's going on with Audi? With their drivetrains, with their model lineup compared to the old models, the good old days from going back to the original 1998 Audi TT. I mean, look at this design. This is what I remember Audi being, like an innovative brand that pumped out some really cool designs. We had the TT, then we have the Le Mans concept that turned into the Audi R8. Just a mind-blowing design of the time. And the TT here has this architectural Bauhaus design to it that we've never seen before. It was so ahead of its time with almost a symmetrical design. So it looked almost the same in the rear like it did in the front end. We have this curvature here going in, and I love how the headlights follow this curvature down into the lower section. I made a review on this and why I love this design so much on the Sketch Monkey channel. You can go and check that review out if you want to. But very clean design. Everything sits flush with the bodywork. We don't even have a bumper here that sticks out in the front end. Everything is just flush, and I love this design, so ahead of its time. And you also have to think about the Audi A2, which used the space frame, which Audi was so proud of in 1993-94 when they first came out with the first generation with the Audi A8 with the space frame. And they wanted to implement that same technology into a sort of a budget car, a cheaper car. So they made the A2, which you couldn't even open the hood. Everything was shut in the front end. The only way you could open something in the front was through the grille, where you could do some, check the oil and do some regular maintenance for the car. And that car was also ahead of its time. The problem with that car, though, was that it was developed and designed and put into production at a time where gas was really, really cheap. So people didn't really need a super efficient little Audi, and that causes sales to not be great for the A2. But I still think it's a very, very cool design. Now, 2000 here, Audi RS4, B5 RS4. Probably one of my favorite wagons. I mean, it is one of my favorite wagons of all time. I'm not sure where it sits in the top 10. Maybe top. It's probably top 3. I just love this design from a childhood experience I had with the RS4 that I've talked about before when I was, I don't know how old I was, but it was such a cool experience to see this. I saw it in Stockholm near a place called Hammarby. They had an Audi dealership there, which I was sort of apprentice in as a kid. And they pulled out an Audi RS4 in red, and I remember it was going to get washed or something like that, and he just floored it. 380 horsepower quattro all-wheel drive. I could see the rear end just dipping down and squatting down as this car took off, and I was like, what is this wagon with all this power? It's such a cool car. It looks pretty decent in gray, but I would definitely want to have this in red. So this, to me, is a magical car. You know, when you have the childhood magic still intact, you have some memories from when you were a kid, and the RS4 definitely sits within those memories in my mind. Then we have the 2011 A8. Some people don't like this design, but I think it looks pretty cool. We still have a clear-cut separation here. Maybe the grille is not really separating the two. The top half and the lower half. It goes straight through the front end. But I do think it's still a very elegant and unique looking design, specifically with these headlights that goes upwards and then straight into the grille. Doesn't really have a connection to anything there. I do prefer the next generation that came right after this. That has a very, very clean design to it. But still, you can see the elegance that we have going through these models here from 2000 TT and all the way down here to right now 2013 R8. Now this is the facelifted version of the R8. I love this design. It's such a stunning, beautiful looking machine even today. The first pre-facelift from 2007 still looked very cool, but now when they implement it, usually I don't think the facelifted versions, in most cases, they don't add to the design, but this one definitely did, because now you have the full LED light in the front end, daytime run light, and also in the rear end. Huge differences compared to the pre-facelift version. This being the V10, you can see that by having this little shelf here on the air intake on the side. That is how you can tell that this is a V10 from the side view, by the way. You have the carbon fiber blade here looking beautiful. Again, very elegant and simple styling. Coming into 2015 Q5, same thing here. It's just a solid looking design. You can see the line flow here and the simple graphics that we have in the front end. How everything is separated beautifully. Everything has a nice housing to it. Beautiful chamfers underneath the headlights. We have a connection here from the headlights into the grille looking nice. And these lines are the same angle down here, as you can see. And we have the same angle here, for example. So it's a nice looking design. Simple lines going in to the grille up top on the hood. Going down to the 2017 A6. Stunning, stunning design. Once again, we have the typical Audi face. Everybody knows this grille. Some people think that these grills were getting a little old when they started to implement these on every single model. But to me, this is a huge identifier for Audis of the time. You can see that we have same angle here again for the headlights and also angle down here. All the lines all around the car is connecting to something on the front end or in the rear. It's just a stunning, beautiful car. And we have these Lambo sort of Y-shaped daytime running lights here. The 2017 A6, seriously underrated sedan. And I don't know what they cost today, but you can probably get those for not much, for pretty cheap. And that is still today a very beautiful car. Now, coming into today, what's going on here with Audi? First of all, have a look at the e-tron. There's so many EVs in the Audi lineup, and what they don't understand is that people are not 100% warmed up to EVs yet, because they can't do exactly what an internal combustion engine can do when it comes to recharging and refueling with electricity, and compared to, a gas powered car. It's a lot quicker, and there's a lot more range in a gas powered car as well. So they went full on EV, Audi here, going back a couple of years, put all the eggs into one basket, and I think that is the big problem when it comes to the drivetrains of cars. Then we have the design. The design has gotten, I think they're starting to feel almost like BMW now, by adding so many things in the front end and just cluttering up everything that used to be so beautiful and elegant for Audi. BMW, we've already seen them gone down that route, and what happened with the design of BMWs. I don't want to see Audi do the same mistake, and it feels like we're heading in that direction when it comes to the design. I've made a video on pretty much every single of these one of these cars here, the 2025 S5 here. I don't think it's a good looking car. I mean, this sticks up way too high. It squeezes this area right underneath. It feels like something is like pulling something underneath the eyeball and just pushing it up like this. Give it a little bit more space. And why do we have this big framing going around this intake as well? It just looks way too cluttered. Then we have the lower section of the intake just crashing right into this piece, and it doesn't have, a end point here. I would want to see something like this, instead of just having it be an open space at the bottom that doesn't have any sort of connection to this graphic feature in the side. The grille looks fine, but then we have these carved out portions in the hood that looks too vulgar for me to be an Audi, more like BMW style there. The side view looks decent for the new A5 and S5s, but the front graphics, they're just doing too much. Then we have the 2025 RS e-tron GT, which I think looks pretty decent in this case, because we have a nice angle here that has a connection to the angle of the grille. This angle does not really seem to have any sort of connection to any other angle in the front end, but it's pretty squared off, the intakes in the front, even though I do wish this sat a little lower, maybe in this area, and give this a little bit more space to breathe underneath the headlights and create some more bodywork into that car. And we also have the same sort of treatment here in the lower section of the new, the RS e-tron GT. It has the same sort of feeling down here like I just talked about in the S5, where it just crashes into this side intake, and it doesn't have a clear, nice connection anymore like we used to have in the most elegant cars of the early 2000s going up to, I would say, 2015 for Audi. And then the same goes for the new RS3. If we look at the old RS3s and compare it to the new ones, I mean, the front end there's too much going on here. And this is what I'm talking about when I say it feels like they're doing what BMW has been doing for a long time now, for a couple of years at least. Just adding more features into the cars and into the graphics of the front end, making it feel way too busy. Not sure what's going on in this area here. This is not the worst Audi design of the moment. It still feels pretty good, pretty solid, but it's starting to feel almost like a transformer in the front end. The grille is still intact. I like to see this big grille. I honestly don't mind having a big grille like this. I know a lot of people are getting tired and sick of the big Audi grills. And also you can see that they moved the logo is not sitting inside of the grille anymore. Instead, I don't know why they did this, but now it clashes with the key line of the top part of the grille. and just cuts, that line cuts right through the Audi logo. I much prefer to have it lower down here, like we're used to seeing in pretty much every single Audi up until today. You can see that here, for example, we have it inside of the grille. It doesn't sit up here and intruding on this beautiful line. Now this is the Sportback e-tron for 2025. This, I think, this is more like I want to see from Audi. This, you compare this front end, for example, to let's see, this one, the SQ6, and the differences in design. This looks way too busy. However, this one looks pretty decent. We have some line flow here with the graphic features going from the lower section and then cutting into the side here with the silver piece, looking pretty beautiful. And we also have the same lines here, the angles of the lines for the headlights, and also have this connection to the grille of the lines up top. And look at this, the lower intake now has a beautiful end point here. It doesn't just crash into this area like I talked about in the S5 up here. So this is a decent new Audi, the 2025 SQ8 Sportback, even though I personally would not want to have the Sportback version. In 99% of the cases, I don't like any sort of Sportback SUV, or what are they called? SUV coupes, except for the Porsche Cayenne, because Porsche naturally has this curvature to it. Unfortunately, this is something I want to see here in the United States. These sort of side mirrors that are cameras instead of mirrors. I think it looks pretty cool, even though, yes, it's going to add a lot more screens in the interior, but it looks very futuristic, and Audi has always been ahead when it comes to tech, specifically lighting situations. Just wanted to throw in the last example here, down here, for the S6. So compare these two. We have the A6 from and the S6. It looks pretty similar to this from 2017, and look at how clean, elegant this looks. And look at what's going on here. I have no idea. Different colors, different graphics, nothing is connected to each other. We have the bumper headlights here as well. Daytime run lines up top. This does not have any sort of headlight unit in it. The headlight unit sits all the way down here in this black feature, but then they decided to just splash some silver in the front end as well. So super messy design, and it feels like Audi doesn't have this red line anymore that we're used to seeing from Audi when it comes to their design identity, and that is the reason why I think it's feeling more like BMW, which, if you look at the lineup at the moment, every single BMW looks completely different from one another. But I do have hope for Audi. Hopefully they switch their mentality, stop focusing 110% on EVs, bring back some cool old, not old, but brand new, maybe hybrids, I don't care, some internal combustion engine cars, and clean up the design. And I think Audi will still be a brand that could compete with the top when it comes to design, because that's what they've been doing for such a long time.